اسمكم لجين الهذلول أنا الآن في طريق
Imprisoned for 900 days because of her role as a women's activist. Loujain al-Hathloul's trial in a Saudi court resumed today.
My parents saw that she was very weak, that her body was shaking, and that her voice as well. But even with that, she was still very focused and wanted to read her whole defense.
Miss al-Hathloul has recently been on hunger strike in protest at the conditions she's being held in. Her sister says Loujain has been subject to torture, and a UN Committee on Women's Rights says it's gravely concerned about her well-being.
Her and other activists were being electrocuted, waterboarded, flogged, beaten, deprived of sleep, force-fed.
We contacted the Saudi embassy for comment and have yet to hear back. The kingdom has previously denied these claims of torture, but today the court launched an investigation into them. Loujain al-Hathloul's case has also been transferred to a terrorism court, which Amnesty has described as an instrument of repression to silence dissent. And yet Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, or MBS, has been boasting about reforms. Just days ago, MBS at the G20 was talking about how the kingdom is advancing women's rights. What did you think when you heard those words?
When we see what's happening inside of the country, that it's becoming a police state, that it's the worst it has ever been regarding human rights, I think that no one should believe it. And the biggest evidence of that is that the very ones who have been fighting for the reforms in Saudi Arabia are behind bars, being tortured and being tried in terrorism courts.
But is Saudi about to face new international pressure? Under the current White House administration, the relationship between Washington and Riyadh has been pretty cosy. President Trump was proud of arms sales to the kingdom, even while it's accused of carrying out war crimes in Yemen.
$3 billion, $533 million.
President-elect Joe Biden has called Saudi a pariah state and pledged to suspend those arms sales. Perhaps in anticipation of a change in US policy, Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu reportedly made a secret trip to the kingdom for talks with MBS. He was coy when asked about it, while the Saudis have totally denied it. But many say both countries are preparing a united front.
Joe Biden had made some noise that would be interpreted in Riyadh as threatening. What worries both Israel and Saudi Arabia is that Joe Biden would actually lift the sanctions on Iran and start serious negotiation, perhaps go back to the early agreement without involving the Saudis.
Those still facing a crackdown are waiting anxiously to see if Mr. Biden's actions on Saudi prove as tough as his rhetoric.
Well, in the last few minutes, we received a statement from the Saudi embassy in which they deny all allegations of mistreatment and torture and say there is no evidence to support them. They also say the kingdom is working tirelessly for peace in Yemen.